I get it, you're staring at a list of giant screens, trying to figure out whether any of them are actually worth the space on your wall and the cash out of your pocket. You've probably heard the buzz about 75-inch interactive displays promising to turn a boring conference room into a digital playground, but the fear of ending up with a pricey whiteboard that nobody actually uses is real. You don't want to waste money on something that looks impressive on paper but turns out to be a pain in the day-to-day workflow. That's the exact question I asked myself before digging into the LG CreateBoard Core, and the link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First things first, this isn't a regular TV. It's a 75-inch 4K panel that doubles as a multi-touch collaborative board. The 40-point touch capability means up to 40 fingers or stylus tips can be registered at the same time, which sounds great for group brainstorming sessions. In practice, that translates into a classroom where a teacher can let 3 or 4 students work on a diagram simultaneously, or a design team that needs to sketch, annotate, and move objects without fighting for control of the pen. The 38402160 resolution gives a crisp canvas, so fine details in schematics or high-resolution images don't get lost when you zoom in. Who should actually consider this screen? If you run a medium-sized meeting room, a training facility, or a collaborative lab where visual communication is core to the business, the CreateBoard Core could be a genuine productivity boost. Its built-in USB-C and USB-A ports let you plug laptops directly into the display, turning it into a plug-and-play hub without needing a separate switcher or docking station. For educators who want to replace traditional chalkboards with a digital surface that can save work instantly, the multi-touch feature aligns well with modern curricula. Small creative studios that rely on real-time visual feedback during ideation may also find the large, ultra-sharp canvas a comfortable space for sketching and presenting. On the flip side, if you're a solo freelancer who works from a home office, or a family that wants a TV for movie nights, this device is overkill. The price point for a 75-inch 4K panel with touch is already steep before you add any mounting hardware or software licensing that some vendors require. Plus, the touch aspect only becomes useful when you have multiple participants actively engaging with the screen. A single user will rarely notice the difference between a regular monitor and a touch-enabled one. For anyone whose workflow is primarily keyboard-driven, think spreadsheets, coding, or reading, this display will feel like a glorified window rather than a necessary tool. Now let's talk about the practical strengths that actually matter after you've unboxed it. The biggest win is the low-latency multi-touch response. During a trial run with a local design school, the board registered all 40 points without any lag, even when users were drawing rapid, overlapping strokes. That kind of responsiveness is essential when you're trying to keep a brainstorming session flowing. A glitchy surface can break the momentum and force people back to pen and paper. The 4K resolution is another solid point. In a recent architectural presentation, the fine details of a floor plan remained legible even when the professor zoomed in to the level of individual room dimensions. That clarity helps eliminate the "I can't read that" moments that often plague large format presentations. Another hidden advantage is the simplicity of the connectivity. The board includes 4 USB Type-A ports and a USB-C output, which means you can connect a laptop, a tablet, and a USB drive all at once. In real-world meetings, that setup saved a lot of time. No need to swap cables or rely on a separate hub. The board also works as a regular monitor when you don't need the touch feature, so you can use it as a high-quality display for video calls or data dashboards without any extra steps. But there are the practical weaknesses that can bite you later. First, the input lag when using a stylus isn't as smooth as some dedicated drawing tablets. The board accepts generic capacitive pens, but professional artists report a slight wobble at high speeds, which can be frustrating for precision work. Also, the software suite that runs on the board is fairly basic out of the box. It provides drawing, annotation, and screen sharing tools, but it lacks deep integration with popular project management platforms. If your team relies heavily on apps like Miro, Mural, or Microsoft Teams for collaborative whiteboarding, you'll need to install an additional layer of software, which can add cost and complexity. Another consideration is the mounting and space requirement. A 75-inch panel is massive. The recommended wall mount needs a solid stud wall or a dedicated frame, and once it's up you lose a lot of floor space behind it. In a cramped office, you'll need to plan the room layout carefully to avoid glare and ensure that the screen is viewable from all angles. The board's brightness is adequate for most indoor lighting conditions, but in a sun-filled room it can struggle to stay visible, especially when multiple people are touching.